Hey Army, are you doing okay? Because I am absolutely not okay after watching this video. Picture this. The stadium lights suddenly dim. Tens of thousands of people go completely silent. Then a single spotlight drops onto the stage, and standing there are two figures, each wearing a cowboy hat. Yeah, Jimin and Jungkook. And before Army could even take a breath, the music hits. A choreography that is over a decade old roars back to life with 10 times the power it ever had before. The stadium? Insane. The crowd? In tears. The internet? Exploded. Stay right here, because today we are breaking down a moment that has been, and will continue to be, talked about by Army all over the world. This is not just another concert. This is history being rewritten. But before we get into that incredible cowboy hat moment, we need just a little bit of context. Because without it, you won't fully feel how massive this moment truly is. So here's the story. The last time BTS toured together as a complete group was in 2021 and 2022 during the Permission to Dance on Stage concert series. After that, one by one, each BTS member entered mandatory military service in South Korea, a legal obligation required of all physically able-bodied Korean men, lasting up to 21 months. RM, Jin, jhope, V, Jimin, Jung Kook, and finally Suga, who completed his service in June 2025. Army waited for nearly 4 years. For years, that is not a short time by any measure. But then, everything changed. In January 2026, Big Hit Music announced the biggest world tour in BTS history. The name, BTS World Tour, Arirang. The title comes from their latest studio album, also called Arirang, inspired by a centuries-old Korean folk song widely regarded as the unofficial anthem of the Korean peninsula. The Arirang album dropped on March 20th, 2026. The result? It debuted straight at number 1 on the Billboard 200. Their single Swim also topped the charts. BTS came back with a force that no one in the music world could ignore. The tour kicked off on April 9th, 2026, at Goyang Stadium in South Korea, in the middle of pouring rain, with over 40,000 fans who refused to leave. Hundreds more stood outside the venue with umbrellas, just to hear the sound of BTS performing from a distance. This was not just a concert. This was a historic reunion. The Arirang World Tour is the largest tour BTS has ever undertaken. More than 85 shows across 34 cities in 23 countries, from April 2026 all the way through March 2027. The route covers Goyang, Tokyo, Tampa, El Paso, Mexico City, San Francisco, Las Vegas, and then sweeps across Europe, Latin America, Australia, and back through Asia. Tickets? Gone in hours. Not just regular hours. The kind of hours where ticketing servers nearly crashed and Army around the world stayed up through the night just to secure one seat. But what makes the Arirang World Tour different from any previous BTS tour isn't just the scale. There's one very special feature that makes every single night unique: the surprise song section. Just like Taylor Swift's Eras tour, BTS at every city pulls a surprise song from their massive catalog, a track that isn't on the main set list, played only once in that city, giving every single Army who showed up an experience that can never be replicated anywhere else. And it's right here, right in this surprise song section, where the cowboy hat story begins. Alright, this is what you've all been waiting for. Let's walk through this moment with every detail it deserves, because this is a legendary moment and it needs to be told properly. In Mexico City, specifically at Estadio GNP Seguros, a venue capable of holding tens of thousands of people, BTS was performing the third and final night of their 3-show run. It was late in the evening, energy already at its absolute peak. The Mexico City Army had been singing, crying, and screaming for hours. And then, the DJ started spinning a very, very familiar intro. Army's heart stopped. Some fans started crying before the song even fully began. Because they knew. They knew exactly what was coming. And suddenly, Jungkook, Jimin, jhope, and V walked out onto the stage. Each one wearing a cowboy hat. The song? We Are Bulletproof PT2, one of the most iconic and deeply nostalgic tracks from BTS's early catalog. A song that takes them all the way back to the beginning, back to 2014, back to when they were young men with enormous dreams and nothing but hard work to back them up. And they didn't just sing it. They performed the full choreography, exactly the way they did it more than a decade ago. Every single move, every formation, every small detail that makes that song what it is. The stadium immediately lost its mind. There is no other way to describe it. But hold on, because what happened next was even more overwhelming than the choreography alone. Jimin. Oh, Jimin. When We Are Bulletproof PT2 was playing, Jimin didn't just dance beautifully the way we all know he can. He did something that made the entire stadium, and then the entire internet, completely lose it. He performed the side flip, an ultra-difficult acrobatic move where he spins through the air without using his hands to touch the ground. The exact same move he performed 10 years ago when this song was first being performed live. Not a simplified version, not a modified version adjusted for his age or the years that had passed. The exact same move. Clean, precise, and breathtaking, just like the very first time. For a split second, the stadium went completely silent, because the brains of tens of thousands of people needed one full moment to process what they had just witnessed. And then came the loudest screaming of the entire night. What made this even more emotional is that the move wasn't captured by the main stadium cameras in that moment. The giant LED screens didn't show a close-up of Jimin when it happened, so not everyone in the crowd got to see it immediately with their own eyes. But fan cams never lie. Within minutes after the concert, fan cam videos of Jimin's side flip were spreading across Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and Weverse. Trending worldwide. Millions of views. ARMY who couldn't be there in Mexico City got to witness the moment from their own screens, and it hit just as hard. And it wasn't just the side flip. Jimin also pulled off a moonwalk that drew the most thunderous applause of the night. But the single most emotional moment of the entire evening? After all of that, after the side flip, the moonwalk, and the choreography that drove the stadium absolutely wild, Jimin took off the cowboy hat he was wearing, and he handed it to a small girl standing in the front row who was crying her heart out. A little girl who probably had no idea that night she would receive a hat from her idol, placed directly into her hands by Park Jimin himself, who probably had no idea that photos and videos of that moment would be seen by millions of people around the world, who only knew one thing. She was crying from pure joy, and that cowboy hat now belonged to her. ARMY across the entire world, they cried too, not even a little bit ashamed about it. Now let's talk about Jungkook, the golden magne who has grown into one of the most complete performers on the planet. If Jimin stole the night with acrobatics and raw emotion, Jungkook stole it with something entirely different, pure, unstoppable energy. Wearing his cowboy hat, Jungkook performed as though he had been waiting for this exact moment for years. Every single move in the choreography landed with stunning precision, but not the rigid, calculated kind of precision. The kind that feels free, the kind that feels full of joy, the kind that makes it obvious how deeply in love this man is with being on a stage. In Texas, during the first El Paso show, Jungkook and Jimin shared the stage again on, this time performing choreography straight from the music video, widely regarded as one of the most powerful choreographies BTS has ever created. Two people on the same stage, with a strength and precision that seemed to have no limit whatsoever. The crowd in El Paso, one of the most vocally passionate ARMY cities in America, gave them everything back. The roar of the audience during those moments felt like it never stopped, not even for a single second. Jungkook, in a fan talk session after the show, put it simply, "Every night, every city, I feel like it's the very first time I've ever stepped onto a stage." And every single ARMY who heard those words believed him completely. Now let's talk about the world's response. Because without ARMY's reaction, a concert moment can never truly become legendary. Within hours of the Mexico City show, here is what the internet looked like. Jimin was trending at #1 on Twitter and X in over 20 countries simultaneously. The hashtags #JiminCowboyHat, #WeAreBulletproof, and #dominated global timelines. Fancam footage of Jimin's side flip was watched more than 10 million times in the first 24 hours alone. ARMY from Korea, Japan, Indonesia, Brazil, the United States, the Philippines, Thailand, everyone was talking about the same things. The cowboy hats, the side flip, the little girl who got Jimin's hat. The feeling of watching BTS, the BTS they had waited so long for, performing as if there had never been a gap at all. Communities of ARMY around the world exploded with energy. Fans who hadn't yet secured tickets became even more determined to find a way in. Resale prices across ticketing platforms climbed sharply because ARMY who missed out the first time weren't willing to miss out again. One longtime ARMY who had been following BTS since their debut wrote on Twitter, "I've been to hundreds of concerts, but watching them come back, older, more mature, more grounded, and still being able to do exactly what they did 10 years ago, this isn't just a concert. This is proof that hard work and dedication are real." That post was retweeted hundreds of thousands of times, because every single ARMY who read it felt that it was saying exactly what was already in their heart. You might be wondering, why does this moment matter so much? Why can a cowboy hat and one song from 2014 make millions of people cry? The answer is simple, because this is proof. Proof that time cannot stop genuine dedication. Proof that distance, whether the physical distance of different countries or the gap in time created by military service, cannot break the connection between BTS and ARMY. Proof that a body trained with relentless discipline for years never forgets what it has learned. Jimin performed the exact same side flip he performed a decade ago. Not because he is superhuman, but because he never stopped training. Never stopped loving what he does. Never stopped wanting to give everything he has to every person standing in that crowd. We are bulletproof. The title of that song is not an accident. BTS didn't choose it as their surprise song opener just for nostalgia. They chose it because of what it means. That they have been through everything. That they cannot be brought down. That they came back stronger than ever. And the cowboy hat. Maybe it's just an accessory. But in Jimin's hands, on Jungkook's head, on a stage they had waited 4 long years to stand on, it was never just a hat. It was a symbol of freedom, a symbol of joy, a symbol that said, without words, we are back, and we are not going anywhere. Alright ARMY, now for the part that might matter most to those of you who haven't had the chance to attend yet, the tour schedule. The Arirang World Tour still has a long road ahead. From North America, the tour moves through Europe, then circles back to Asia for a leg spanning multiple countries. The run is planned through March 2027. Big Hit Music has also confirmed additional dates will be announced for Japan, the Middle East, and other Asian countries in the coming months. For those of you who can't be there in person, there's good news. BTS has already held cinema live viewings for select concerts, including the Goyang and Tokyo shows. There's a strong chance live viewings will return for upcoming legs of the tour. Keep a close eye on official announcements from Big Hit Music and Weverse. And one thing that is worth knowing, no 2 nights of the Arirang World Tour are exactly the same. The surprise song section guarantees it. That means even if you've already attended one show, the next one will give you an entirely different experience that you can't get anywhere else. So that is the full story behind the cowboy hat moment that made the whole world go crazy. Jimin and Jungkook, with an energy that time and distance simply could not touch, proved that some things in this world are truly timeless. BTS is back, and they came back bigger, stronger, and more meaningful than ever before. If you love this video, ARMY, please hit like, drop a comment, and subscribe, because we will keep bringing you all the latest news and coverage from the Arirang World Tour. Let me know in the comments, which city on this tour do you want to attend the most? And for those of you who have already been, tell us your experience. See you in the next one. Purple You, Purple Heart.